The Rayman series is no stranger to villains. I mean, that's kind of the point of video games. You know, at least action-adventure games like Rayman. The main character, or the player, goes on a journey through a set of levels and challenges, facing numerous obstacles along the way, almost always culminating in a face-off against a main villain. And of course, Rayman is no different to this. Across the near 30-year tenure of the limbless hero, he has had a total of 5 mainline games. Yeah, it's really that bad. With 5 games come 5 villains, right? Well, no, I wish it were that simple. There are 4, potentially 3 if that's how you want to look at it, but that's for another time in another video. Either way, for this one, I thought it would be fun to rank each of the main villains of each of the games. Now, I've received some comments recently on my best and worst levels videos saying I was missing Rayman M or the Rabbids. A lot of people say I've been missing the Rabbids. Truthfully, I don't see them as mainline games. I know you could argue Rayman Rabbids is Rayman 4, but, you know, it's not. I don't think that warrants ignoring them, though. I don't want to ignore them. It's just I don't think their levels were exactly comparable to the levels in the mainline Rayman games. That's why they weren't included. In line with that, name a villain from a Rabbids game. That's why they're excluded from this video. And if you've made it this far already, you may as well subscribe because there's a lot more videos like this coming. Thank you. Rayman M levels are more or less just courses as well. Like, there's no bit, razor beards in it. It's not really a villain though, is it? So for now, I'm going to keep the Rabbids, Rayman M, and the mainline games separate when discussing things like this. But don't worry, there are Rabbids videos coming eventually. So with that out of the way, let's crack on. In order of worst to best, here are the 5 main Rayman games ranked by their main villain, taking into account the boss fight levels, the character designs, the character presence, like the threat level and things like that. Anything else I deem worthy of considering, since I do in fact make the rules in this situation. You could say I have a lot of power. Do you know who doesn't have a lot of power? The magicians. Look, I don't like the Rayman Legends slander either, for the record, but let's be real here. This was a pitiful excuse of a main villain. And why were there 5 of them? Like 5 identical magicians? To give them their dues, those high-speed chase levels were always a bit of fun, and I do like their design. However, in the same breath, I'm going to say they're all just tinsies in a costume, so I like the costume. I think the fact that they're tinsies in a costume is a bit stupid. They never really had any presence or threat, really, in Rayman Legends. You never know they're there, in the game at all, until you hit that mini chase section at the end of every level pack, and then bang, they're defeated in 30 seconds. The whole stealing the Queen Tinsy shit is a bit dull too. No one's exactly singing the praises of Rayman Legends' story, okay? And I just think that extends to the villain, or villains, I suppose. All the world bosses are far more memorable than the magicians themselves, Toad? Yeah? I played it recently, I promise. Anyway, next up, what's better than 5 crappy magicians? 1 crappy magician. Now see, I actually like the magician in Rayman Origins. There's still very little threat and overall danger when it comes to the magician until the final level, or the final reveal, I suppose, but I kinda like that. The magician is always there counting your lums at the end of each level, so that mini twist reveal is a nice bit of fun, and the level that follows is fantastic, the mosquito one. Much more of an exciting villain for this game to have, in my opinion. Again, Rayman Origins isn't really known for its story, so creating a compelling villain was always going to be hard. This doesn't excuse the magician just being a dressed up Tinsy again, considering he's almost definitely supposed to be Mr. Dark, but again, that's for another video. Anyway, I have nothing else to say about this. At the end of the day, Rayman Origins and Legends fall flat in the story department and serve as just ridiculously fun games, and that's more than okay. But, the real fun part of this video starts now. Look, you should know by now that I love Rayman 2 and Rayman 3 the most, and you might be thinking that I'm biased here by dumping all the other 3 games below it, but let me ask you something. Why are they my favourite? Maybe it's because, in my opinion, they do everything the best. So, in these videos, they're always going to come out on top. My point is, I like Mr. Dark a lot more than the magicians, even though it's possible they are him as well, but, that kind of proves my point, because we don't know, and that means they were really badly handled. Anyway, yeah, but Mr. Dark is still quite a long way behind the 2 villains that followed him. Either way, Dark is a fun one. Right from the start of the game, it's clear that he's a threat. You know, run of the mill, sure, but it works. You know, he's enslaved Electoons, everyone's scared, he's dangerous, he's got minions. It's a great setup, and with the constant addition of powers linked with warnings from Batila the Fairy, Mr. Dark's presence and threat never really leaves. Until you fight him, but we've talked about this before, so let's leave that. I love his design too. He's not just a reskin of another character, he's menacing, mysterious, he's dark. Obviously all of Rayman 1 is stunning, but the character designs in this game are second to none, and Mr. Dark is no exception. There's an argument to be made that 2D games like this will always have a harder time setting up a narrative and characters, simply because cutscenes are harder to handle. And while I don't fully agree with that statement, even though I just said it, I do think Rayman suffers from this. Rayman 1, I mean. The next two villains are established through cutscenes and dialogue, something that was seriously lacking from all the other games. I don't even think that's a bad thing. It just means a ranking video like this will always end up fairly predictable, and now I'm wondering if it's even worth finishing recording this, but the next two are more fun. Can you guess which is my second favourite villain in the main Rayman series? It's a tough choice, but I think Admiral Razorbeard has to go in second place. Right from the start of the game, you know this dude means business. Rayman 2 would give you tonal whiplash if you went straight there from the first game. You know, it's dark, and every time a new cutscene with him, Razorbeard, starts, the game reminds you how many slaves he has on board. Crazy shit for a kid's game, quite frankly. Either way, his presence is well known throughout the whole game. The cries for help whenever a cage is near, the pirates and ships and ball things, the gritty locations demolished by pirates. This is a game that knows how to be scary, dangerous, and knows how to make him known. Nope, this is a game that knows how to have a scary, dangerous villain and knows how to make him well known. And of course the final level on the pirate ship. It's huge, it feels like a real, you know, we're here, it's the end game, let's get him kind of moment. And the final fight, of course, is big. I have my opinions on it, but at the very least it's memorable and he's a clear threat. I love his design too, he's like a jagged robot pirate. What's not to love? Rayman 2 is a killer game, and I think a large part of that is down to the constant looming threat and world building. The search for the four masks feels important because from the get-go you know what the stakes are. It's a wonderful game and a hell of a villain, but I'm afraid the top spot goes to... You knew it was coming. Andre the Black Lum is so great as the villain for Rayman 3. From the get-go, you know he's there. You know the threat. The whole world is in danger, but unlike Razorbeard, you take him along for the ride. Andre getting stuck inside Glowbox was a fantastic move. It took the first half of the game up a notch, and even leaves the player with a sense of something missing after he's gone. The final fight, albeit mostly reflux, is such a great culmination of everything too. But you know, until it isn't, obviously. Andre is powerful, Andre is dangerous, and Andre is awesome. I love him. Of course his design is brilliant too, you know, it's simple but it works. His mere presence in the first half of the game is what drives the plot forwards with an immediate goal before the player fully gets to grips with the story and the world, so at no point does it feel like what they're doing is pointless, you know, because you immediately know something has to be done, but you don't have to fully understand what the hell you're looking at, because sometimes it feels like that with Rayman. It's a brilliant way to frame the first act and a brilliant character to do it with. He's also hilarious. I mean, the constant back and forth with him and Glowbox is always a treat every time. And I've played this more times than I've had hot dinners, and I have an oven, so that's a lot. It's a major thing that this game has that the others don't, really. I mean, it is very hard to ignore the effect that full voice acting and advanced cutscenes have had in bringing Andre to life. Anyway, that's my list. I like them all, but for me there is a clear winner. What do you think? How would you rank the main villains from the Rayman series? Let me know down below and we can have a discussion. Or you can leave me hate comments and I can block you. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay limbless, stay purple, and I will see you, you, in the next one.